Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Friday, May the 17th, 2024, as we continue our look at 1 Corinthians 15, in particular, Paul's discussion of the resurrection. We're going to read for you today verses 21 through 26, where Paul writes, "For since death came through a human being, the resurrection of the dead has also come through a human being. For as all die in Adam, so all will be made alive in Christ, but each in his own order. Christ the firstfruits, then at his coming those who belong to Christ. Then comes the end, when he hands over the kingdom to God the Father after he has destroyed every ruler and every authority and every power, for he must reign till he has put all his enemies under his feet. The last enemy to be destroyed is death." A fellow by the name of Bruce Howell has written that the resurrection introduced the concept of new life, the hallmark, he says, of Christianity, which we've noted already this week. But some time ago, he says, Time magazine carried a story about two archaeologists who found some bone fragments on the cliff tops above the Dead Sea in Israel. Sifting the dust through a small sieve, Dennis Walker, a researcher from California State University at Long Beach, discovered two tiny fragments of bones. And as he and his partner Ron Dubé carefully dug deeper, they found three vertebrae, skull fragments, and the brittle remains of at least one human body. The researchers think that their discovery is important because among some 1,200 simple graves at the site of their dig, this was the only one found inside a purpose-built structure, as they called it. They concluded the bones must have belonged to an important person. Maybe the bones once comprised the skeleton of a Maccabean king of Judea, or perhaps the Apostle James. Maybe it was John the Baptist, or who knows, perhaps it was even Jesus, they speculated. Israeli experts, on the other hand, have a different interpretation. Yossi Nagal, the head of anthropology for Israel's Antiquity Authority, says that the bones are simply the remains of two Bedouin women who were buried about 200 years ago. As an Israeli archaeologist says that the Cal State team got overexcited. Others say the Israelis play down such discoveries because rabbinical authorities forbid digging up Jewish graves. Who's right? Who knows? I can tell you this, says Howell, whoever the bones belong to, it isn't Jesus. Christians believe that although he was crucified on Friday, he rose from the dead on Sunday morning. He appeared to several individuals and small groups, and then to more than 500 at one time, most of whom were still living at the time that St. Paul wrote about it, as we heard this week. His resurrection is one of the best documented facts in all of history. And so if you look in the right place in Israel, you might be able to find the tomb of John the Baptist. And if you search diligently in Saudi Arabia, you might find the bones of Muhammad. If you hunted long and hard in China, you might even discover the remains of Confucius. But visitors to the tomb of Jesus, says Howell, always observe that it's empty. Why? Because he rose again. But not only that, the promise of the resurrection is not just that Christ rose. He's the first fruits, as we heard, but we will also share in his new life. In Randy Alcorn's book, In Light of Eternity, he imagines two twins having a conversation in their mother's womb. You know, the one says, there's a whole world out there, grassy meadows and snowy mountains, splashing streams and waterfalls, horses and dogs and cats and whales and giraffes. There are skyscrapers and cities and people like us, only much bigger, playing games like football, baseball, and volleyball, and going to the beach. Are you crazy? Says the other twin. That's just wishful thinking. Everyone knows there's no life after birth. Good way of kind of thinking about how we think there's no life after death, but perhaps what awaits us, or most assuredly what awaits us, is even grander, more wonderful than what we've known in this life. There is life after death, just as there was life after birth. The resurrection is the promise of that new life, in that life and in that world to come. Well, I hope you have a great day today. We've got one more day to talk about the resurrection in terms of Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15. Until then, take care. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.